A warm welcome to all our participants and our panelists who have joined today's session, which is on school education. Which is being done by Center for Environmental Education in collaboration with WWF India. You could see there are several partners who are partnering for conducting this virtual conference, international conference on sustainability education. So we are really looking forward for your inputs, ideas, and suggestions in this session. And we hope we have a wonderful deliberation today in this session. So with this, I would like to invite my
So as Preeti was saying, welcome, and it's a great opportunity for every one of us to hear from you to discuss the the burning topic of nowadays is the environment and sustainability. So before we move forward to more serious topics, what we are going to do is we are going to take you through a virtual walk since we have been clustered at home due to the pandemic. So the next you will see a video. Just give me a moment to just start the video.
Hi there, I'm WWF India's naturalist, and today I'm going to be taking you on an adventure into the jungle. So let's learn about your local biodiversity. Just have that enthusiasm, that excitement that we're learning something new. Come along and join me. So let me tell you a story. I had this colleague of mine whose name was Ayon Day. One day it was Ayon's birthday, and I thought of calling him in a very different way. Just try and repeat the actions that I'm doing. Hold your nose, tilt your head a bit, and loudly shout, Ayon! 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 And that's how you shall get the sound of your Indian peafowl, which is also your national bird. How wonderful!
This is Tyler. Tyler, with Grammarly's help, is writing an email to his boss, Anita.
These birds are your very social jungle babblers. You can also call them your 7 brothers or 7 sisters because you'll often see them in a group of 6 to 7. Now, when they are in a group, they would often make this chattering sound like a chatterbox. They would make this sound of they love to seek attention. So if you're not paying attention, this bird will give you a warning. Hey, you're not listening to me. Purely magical. This is your jungle karonda. It has about 7 petals. What a fruitful smell. Beautiful. You will often hear this bird singing out loud to you during the rainy season. It's called the brain fever bird. So if you actually try and break the lyrics of this sound, it will sound something similar to brain fever, brain fever, brain fever. And you can hear it right now. Now, we are going to meet the architects of nature. These architects are the Baya weavers. Striking golden yellow are the males in their breeding season. These guys have a tough task to do. They are supposed to weave their nest using the fresh grass blades. Now the male has to completely make a nice basket kind of nest, and then he invites the females, fluttering his wings like this and singing out loud that come visit me at my place. But it's magical to just see the males sitting on the complete nest and fluttering out, making some nice sounds to attract the female. So it's something like chi 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 chi. This, my friend, is an oriental garden lizard. Now this guy is completely covered by scales. Now what are these scales actually made up of? They're made up of the same material that our fingernails are made up of. It's called the keratin. Now these guys will also be able to change their body color based on their moods. The beautiful oriental garden lizard. Now this master of camouflage is called the jungle nightjar. Now these are typical insect feeding birds, and they may not have a very impressive or a stunning beak like maybe other birds do, but these guys have a very blunt small beak, which once they open it, it's more like a bug net.
I hope you like the video. So now over to you, Preeti.
Yeah, thank you, Sulagna. That was wonderful video to start with a very much needed that the topic we are touching today, ecosystem restoration, especially how do we bring education connected to ecosystem restoration. So I'll welcome all of our participants and delegates and our experts and panelists today. I'll just share again. Yeah. So taking from here and starting the session formally. So I'll just, okay, so just before we begin, just a few things to keep in mind. This session is being recorded and we are planning it as a 1-hour session. And it's in webinar mode, so only speakers and panelists will be able to present today. So if you have any questions and ideas during the session, you can put it in the Q&A section. And when you're putting your questions or ideas, please identify yourself. So this is very much required so that we can address that. So just talking about the agenda today, I'll be giving a quick overview of the session, and then we'll be hearing to our expert on EE and ESD in schools of India. And then we will have experience sharing by school principal, teacher, and an organization. And then we will go into the Q&A session where we will be taking questions and suggestions and ideas for the session. Then the purpose of today's session is to look. So to review, the purpose of today's session is like we are going to review our existing curriculum, school curriculum practices related to sustainability education. And there will be a lot of experiences we are bringing on this particular session where we'll be listening to different stakeholders who will share how this is being done in their schools and what are the different practices being followed. And then we are going to analyze how these could be included in context to ESD 2030, new education policy 2020, and also this new decade which has been launched. And based on the discussion, we will consolidate recommendations for this. Next, please. So just touching upon, we are looking into three aspects in this session, which is ESD 2030 framework, where there are 5 priority action areas where most of them are very relevant, and we will be connecting to all these areas during the discussion. Like 2 of these areas, like transforming learning environment and building capacity of educator, is something which is really very relevant in context of school education. So how do we address learning content and outcomes, pedagogy and learning environment? So we'll be discussing that. Next, please. Talking about national education policy, so our policy also talks about focuses on ESD, and it has India has adopted 2030 agenda for sustainable development, where SDG goal 4 is on the focus. And if you look into the the vision statement which talks about very much give focus on the sustainability education, how we can prepare our learners to become truly global citizens. Next, please. The third aspect which we are touching today, which is the main focus of day one, is like how do we look into using education as a tool for promoting ecosystem restoration. So this decade was launched this year on 5th June, and this calls upon like individual schools and colleges, various stakeholders to join the movement to prevent and halt and reverse ecosystem degradation. So these are few ecosystems where we could focus upon based on our local context. So with this, I would like to invite our expert speaker, Dr. Chong Shimre, who is Associate Professor at National Council of Educational Research and Training, NCERT, India. She is coordinating implementation of various programs and initiatives of NCERT in the area of environmental education. She has recently published a book on teachers environmental education trends and practices. She is a grantee of Fulbright Nehru Environment Leadership Program Fellowship, and she has recently also got a Professional Excellence Fellowship from Wisconsin University, USA, and her recently she has been awarded also with the new fellowship 2020, which she will be taking up with the Oxford University. So we welcome you, Dr. Chong, to basically give us an overview of how environmental education and ESD is being planned in the Indian context, especially when we are looking at ESD 2030 and national education policy. So over to you, Dr. Chong.
Yeah, thank you so much, Trixie. I don't know if you can hear some birds chirping in the background. I'm literally sitting in the staircase because the Wi-Fi broke down yesterday and they were trying to fix, but this morning it was fine, just half an hour before, so things went all right. So I'm trying to use my hotspot and let's see how far we can get through this. Shall I share my screen? Can I? I think I can.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Is this better? Okay.
Yeah, this is better.
So I'll keep my screen this way.
Yeah.
So that, yeah. I was saying, I don't know if you were able to listen to my previous, so let me just repeat it. So currently we're practicing this infusion approach in the school curriculum. That means that we're trying to infuse environmental concerns and concepts in different subject areas, in all the subject areas, in fact, like science, math, social science, languages, and all possible subject areas. But that's easier said than done because, you know, as we all know, that we are not able to infuse meaningfully in different subjects, and environmental education is assumed to be a subject matter of science. That I'm sure that all the participants, if teachers are there, they will agree that, or at the most, we include geography for that matter. So when we say environmental education, then people start looking at science teacher or geography teacher. That's all we have been doing so far. So the real, the real purpose of this infusion approach, we have not been able to achieve, I would say that. So, so there are several issues. I'm not going to go into the detail of that. I'm just going to present what is the current status right now. And so since teachers are teaching their own subjects, so they are missing out a lot of things. For example, when we talk about environmental education or any environmental issue for that matter, so what happens is that we cannot talk only about the science. It has to be necessarily interdisciplinary. Because, for example, if we say that we're talking about climate change, then we cannot just stop at the science of climate change, but we should also go beyond the science and talk about what happens to the social aspects, what is the impact, and who are the people who are going to address this, the law framers, the people who are impacted, the different races who are impacted differently, or, you know, the economic status, people how they're impacted based on the economic status, and what's going to happen in the future. And like, you cannot just end with the science aspect of climate science, climate change. So you necessarily need to include all those different aspects that has to be addressed, which is impacted by climate change. But that is not happening, as I said, because we are teaching subjects and science teachers are concerned about the science of climate science. For example, they teach about greenhouse effect, that's very much there. But they will never talk about the social aspects, like who are impacted, how far they're impacted, and what kind of laws are available, what can be done as a citizen of the globe. So those things are being ignored by a science teacher, which is understandable because, again, science teacher has to cover a lot of ground. You know, she or he has a whole syllabus to complete. And so the concern is, how do I get done with this concept? Similarly, if by chance it was discussed in social science, it will be very narrow again in the approach. So we have been missing out a lot on this interdisciplinary approach of teaching environmental concepts and concerns, which and that's making the whole approach of this environmental education or infusion approach less effective, you know. So if we really have to address or look into the concerns, environmental concerns, or ESD or sustainability concerns for that matter, then we have to move beyond our subject discipline and take up this interdisciplinary approach. I understand that a science teacher cannot cover all the details about the social aspects, but definitely when he or she is teaching the science aspect, the teacher needs to bring in the interconnectivity of those various different areas. And so that should be the one approach that all teachers have to adopt if we really want to make environmental education meaningfully taught in the schools. So I'll just jump over to this teacher preparation because that was there in the title of the program, this session. So what do we do about teacher preparation? What is the scope or the opportunities in the teacher preparation programs? Of course, now is the right time for us to revamp the teacher preparation programs. For example, we talk about infusion approach, but that was never discussed in the teacher preparation program so far. And so maybe if we're going to continue with this approach, then we have to include this in the teacher preparation program. So that should be the first thing that whoever is framing the teacher preparation programs have to consider that aspect. And again, SDGs, we are nearing 2030 already now, and we have just come up with the NEP. So what are the concerns of SDGs, or what are the concerns of NEP? So this is a time where when we are revamping or when we are reviewing the school teacher preparation programs, we might want to consider all of this, you know, and on top of this, we are all aware about the learning outcomes that have been brought out more recently. Like it's been 1 year now that the learning outcomes have been listed, you know, for different classes, for different subjects. So we have different learning outcomes that teachers are supposed to be achieving in their teaching learning process. So now there are several things that we need to consider. We have the learning outcomes that teachers have to achieve during the teaching learning process. Then we have this ESD competencies, you know, sustainability competencies. Then we have the concerns of NEP. So how do we bring in all of these concerns in the teacher preparation program? So that is something all the stakeholders have to really look into it. And also we talk about the whole school approach that is also in the title of this session. So whole school, when we mention the mention of the name whole school approach, it cannot be restricted to teachers alone. Whole school approach will involve all the stakeholders. Teachers are definitely part of it. Students have to be part of it. Administrators have to be part of it. All the staff who are a part of the school associated with the school system should be part of it. So how do we approach this the concerns of how do we address these concerns of ESD or environmental education through whole school approach? So again, teachers alone cannot do it. So it has to be worked out very systematically. Again, parents also have to be involved. If the parents are not interested in what you're teaching, then they might not like, for example, if you're engaging your students in some activities where they're doing some kitchen gardening or they're preparing some composting. So in that case, what's going to happen is that parents might not like, they might say that you're wasting my kids' time, you know? So that's what the word they're going to use. So how do we work together? How do we bring in all these stakeholders together so that the whole idea, the ethos of the school itself is on sustainability, so that is something that has to be worked out, and that's not going to be easy, we all know. But if we really want to make it meaningful, then everybody, all the stakeholders have to be part of it. Again, the administrators, the principals who are accountable, or uh, who have to report back to the higher authorities, they have to be convinced, or they have to be committed to this. So every stakeholder in the whole system, the community people, has to be involved. Because if you're trying to address any environmental issue or sustainability issue, you cannot do it by yourself. Everybody, all the stakeholders have to be part of it. Then only we will be able to address some of these issues, or we can empower our students to be able to solve some of those issues. So that's something that we might want to look into that. As I said, I'll just bring you to this, the sustainability competencies. And we have a whole list of learning outcomes that we are supposed to be achieving every year through different subjects. So how do we include all of those? Then again, in NEP, there are several aspects. For example, it talks about climate change, sanitation and hygiene, traditional practices, organic farming, forest management, pollution, depleting natural resources, and so many topics related to sustainability or environmental education. So how do we bring in all of this so that we can meaningfully address all this through a teaching learning process? Again, the challenge is that we're going to teach subjects. We're going to teach subjects, we're going to teach science, we're going to teach social science, we're going to teach maths, we're going to teach language. So how do we teach in such a way that students who are going to be the beneficiaries are ultimately going to get them holistically, so that they get all the aspects of the concern. For example, sanitation and hygiene, let's just take that as an example. So when we're talking about sanitation and hygiene, definitely this is going to appear in science textbook. For sure, it's already there, and we're going to have it more in the days to come, or in the next curriculum, or in the next set of round of textbooks. So when we're talking about sanitation hygiene, do we just want to stop it, talk about what is sanitation, or what is hygiene, and what causes diseases, and are we going to stop at that, or are we also going to address the social aspects? For example, now we are still in this pandemic situation. We all talk about using masks, changing masks frequently. What about people who are economically not so sound? Can they really afford it? So, or is water accessible? We say that we have to wash our hands 20 seconds in a running tap. So how many people in this country is accessible to that facility? So how do we want to address all of these environmental issues or sustainability issues? So this is something as teachers or teacher educators or stakeholders, we really have to think in that term. So at the end, I will leave it at this. As we're going to teach subjects, I would say that, do we believe that our teaching or whatever strategies that we are adopting in the schools, whether this will contribute towards sustainable development? So this one question, if we ask ourselves in every activity or everything that we take up in the school, if our answer is yes, then well and good. But if we're doubtful about our answer, or if our answer is no, then maybe we may have to adopt some other strategies. We may have to change the way we teach, or change the way we function in the school system, the whole system, in the campus, or even in the transportation. So how do we make all those things sustainable? Because students take different kinds of transportation to reach school. So how can we make that more sustainable? Or how can we make a school environment more sustainable by using more of natural light or something like that, or not using plastic or polythene bags or things like that? So there are several things that we have to look into if we are really trying to apply or use the strategy of this whole school approach. So it's going to be a challenge for all of us, but it's a good time for all of us to sit down as we are trying to come up with a new curriculum framework, and then which will be followed by a set of new syllabus and set of new textbooks. So this is the right time that we start thinking about all of this. How do we really want to address this in the school system, or in the school curriculum, or in the schools itself? So this is something that we all can, as stakeholders, we all can sit down and start, thinking about this, working this out. So I think I'll leave it at that. I'll rather take questions and respond to the queries. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Chong. It was really wonderful in the short time you could cover it with the internet connectivity issue as but these are the some of the very important key questions as well as on which we can ponder by during the discussion, and maybe participants can bring in their own insights to these questions which you have raised very well. So with this, I would request now Khushbu from my team to invite our next panel, where we are looking at what are the different experiences we have.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, as ma'am suggested that today we have 3 panelists on panel discussion, and they are going to share their school efforts and their experience toward implementing environment education and education for sustainable development initiative. So let me first introduce our panelists first. So we have Miss Varnima Luthra, principal of ASN Senior Secondary School. Ms. Luthra, as an astute educator, has an extensive professional experience of 24 years in the field of education. She has experience in implementing innovative and pedagogical strategies, project-based learning, global citizenship in her learners, and developing in them 21st century set of skills and competencies. She has also worked extensively with the various international and national organizations like UNESCO, NFCS, CBSE, and NCRT, and so on. She is also climate reality leader who is actively involved in the sustainable environment education, and her leadership. School has also received several prestigious awards. School just has received a Green Flag certification under the Eco School program. Then we have Dr. Prasanna Ghosh. He is a teacher in Anglo Bengali Inter College, Prayagraj. Dr. Ghosh is a passionate biological teacher who is teaching the student of class 6 to 12. He is an Eco Club teacher in charge and also leads the Bharat Scouts Guide initiative in the college. He has been actively involved in the science promotion activities also. His school has won several awards in national and state level for the work done on environment and environment sustainability education. Then we have Miss Kinjal Gajera. She is a managing trustee of Srimati S.H. Gajera Charitable Trust. Ms. Gajera has been promoting implementation of holistic educational programs of development for the students. There are a total 18 schools being run under her leadership, where more than 50,000 students are studying. She has introduced peer-to-peer learning program as a student engagement initiative. She believes that integrating life skills is a very critical for a better learning experience. She is very active in various community service-based initiative also. Vachalya Night School for Slum Children Education is such an example. Now, I would like to first invite Ms. Kinjal Gajera to share her experience of environment education and education for sustainable development. Ms. Kinjal Gajera, over to you.
Yeah, hi. Thank you very much, Khushbu. Can I get to share my screen, please?
You can share your screen, ma'am.
Okay. I think I need to do some changes. 1 second. Okay, I can't share my screen, unfortunately. I'm very sorry for that. But just to share my experience that we have been working with nature integrated learning since almost 4 years, and sustainability is a very key area for us in order to create awareness among students, educators, and the community at large. So on the screen, if we can see, it's on the right on the bottom. Our vision is to create an environment where the generations and the youngsters are confident and are understanding of their potential and willing to work, learn, and develop better programs in order to create a very impactful and a progressive living. And the understanding of nature is, I think, one of those areas that influence the young minds on a very deeper level, and exposure to nature from a young age brings about that transition, exploration, wonder, and so many other feelings in a person to develop curiosity and work towards a lot of areas. It could be technical or artistic in nature, or it could be managerial in nature, but some key learnings and introspections from a nature integrated learning, I think, stays with the learner for a very lifelong experience. If we understand the importance of education, nature and sustainability is not just limited to. May I know who's sharing the screen? I'm sorry, I'm just going to interrupt here.
Sorry, I'm sharing. I think.
Yeah, can you just go on the top?
Yeah.
Because I would like to show the pictures and things.
Yeah.
That'll be great. And thank you
Just a
very much.
second, yeah.
So as an organization, we work with quite a lot of programs integrated with the curriculum. Also working with children, working with other NGOs and other bodies to work towards environment and climate change awareness. We have been doing a lot of projects in the past with the government and with the local community here and all over in Gujarat. These are some of the examples of some workshops that get conducted at our various institutes for all our students and educators, nature walks for our educators to actually experience nature themselves in order to pass it down to the students. As Dr. Chang was mentioning earlier, that how we are teaching and what is the effectiveness of those classes is something that we really need to reflect on. And I think that's very much fair. So one of the key things that has been a strong observation all across our organization is that if the educators are very well aware and clear about what they are looking for in terms of learning the subjects, learning the topics that could be integrated, how could the classes be more interesting, what could be the outcomes. So empowering the educator is, I think, half of the battle, and rigorous training and workshops are very much essential. We have farming activities. We do seed to table program in our school where children plant the seeds in the gardens, harvest the vegetables that grow, decide the menu and decide the recipes, participate in the cooking process, and of course, share it along with their friends. So the Seed to Table program has had a wonderful effect on the awareness of students of where food comes from, the energy required, and all the management that comes associated with it. I think even art is very essential. And how can we bring nature and sustainability as a paramount factor in our art ventures is also very interesting exploration as an organization. We have had a lot of workshops, festivals, and competitions related to that encourage the students and the community. So and we think that again it all comes back to making a much more stronger impact and understanding of environment and the importance for it. So yeah, this is the Seed to Table program that I just explained earlier. And it's a very beneficial activity, and we kind of hope we can do it a lot more. Some of the challenges also exist, limitation, timings, managing the curriculum and all, but I think it's an evolving process, and I think all the educators are very passionate, and they kind of try to manage their time and balance it out academically and co-curricular as well. So overall, we have been working quite a lot on nature integrated learning, and it was very nice of CEE to organize this event and create a ripple of awareness for education and environment. So thank you very much for the invitation and listening to me so patiently. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ms. Gajera, for enlightening and inspiring us. Yes, it is very important to imbibe the knowledge of environment and its conservation in our young minds. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. Now I would like to invite Ms. Vadima Luthra to share her experience. Yeah, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Khushbu, and a very good afternoon to the enlightened audience. I would like to thank ICSI and CE for organizing this program. And see, friends, we all know the bedrock of our thing is that we think that somebody else from any other planet will come and save us. But that's not the truth. We all know that. But still, we keep on doing the things, whatever are not good for our planet. Then who is going to come and rescue us? Nobody. I tell my students these words only, that nobody from any other planet can come and save you. We don't have any plan B. We just have one planet to one plan. So you need to work upon for that. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon. And now let me just take you away through the journey of what all we have done in our schools for making the students aware about the sustainable development goals and making Earth a sustainable planet for the generations to come. See, we all know that sustainability is timeless and has per se existed longer in the way of our culture itself. If we go beyond our things, we can really assure that it was said to be that India is known to be a country where Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. That means we all want, everyone must be happy. Sarve Santu Niramya. Everyone should be at peace. So how could, at the Vedic Kal also, Vedic period also, we were said to be known that we are considering flora and fauna as a part of our things. Now, what are we doing? Now, where have we left that loop behind? What dots have we lost on? We really need to connect those things and bring to our schools. That only we have tried our best to bring at ASN. And in present context, education for sustainable development is a way to reconnect with the art of living, with the means of our nature in harmony with all living beings, and most importantly, an enabler for achieving the sustainable development goals. The schools in the present day needs to be act like a nerve center for sustainability education, because we can't assume that a 40-year person can start on those practices, because habit die hard. So we need to work upon right from the school level, make it a habit. It must be like that, the life skill curriculum that has to be ingrained with sustainable development goals and sustainability all around. See, rightly said, if at the young age we are nurturing something, I don't know how many of you are aware of, we go back into the that is Dwapar Yug, where we can understand that how Pradyumna, how he learned everything in the womb of the mother, how Abhimanyu learned all those things. That was possible. So why not right from the day one, we start up those things within the schools, so that our young persons who are coming now, who will lead the nation further, who will lead the planet further, must be apprised of. So for doing all such ventures, our school vision, mission, and core values are all connected, that we have taken the whole school approach to achieve sustainable mindset through a positive change in behavior and action in all the stakeholders. And the core values of our school since inception upholds like social responsibility, cultural consciousness, global citizenship, and environmental consciousness. That is the main core values we have taken up, which supports the vision, shapes the school culture, and is very well reflected in the teaching, ethical conduct of our learners, and even in our infrastructure. The school has a great green policy, wherein various eco-friendly measures to improve environmental footprint of the school, like no plastic zone, promoting paperless working, observing Earth Hour, and many more handprints have been initiated. So the first part is we have worked upon our campus. That means the school environment, physical, natural, socio-cultural, plays a pivotal role in really creating foundation of environmental sustainability and citizenship amongst the students. So eco-friendly campus is a must for that. So installation of rainwater harvesting plants, we have 4 rainwater harvesting plants. We have solar panel in place. Then we have LED lights, and the solar panel is of 100 kilowatt. That's really catering to the whole building. Then AstroTurf has been laid with the eco-friendly geotextile in the school playground for providing green area to the students throughout the year. And various green spaces have been created within the school system, which you could see that vertical gardens and other places. And at the same time, herbal garden with herbal garden, and we have roly-poly and other things. And all the students have only recognized the species and the species of plants in the school. We have got 112 species, which we have documented in the form of AS in Botanica. And nature trails, plant tagging, bird watch plays, gardening at very popular activities children they do on the regular basis. And during the lockdown also, we have tried our best to integrate all those things at home. Then please go to the next slide. Then along with the eco-friendly campus, we have strategic signages at various places, roly-poly, multi-bulty, wherein children, they do right from the 0 hour itself that we name as a golden period. In the morning itself, we have a golden hour in the school where children, they do such activities within the school system, roly-poly, multi-bulty, and creating those manures, leaf composting. Then they visit biogas plant, compost pit, they visit, and hands-on with hands mind. So ultimately, experiential learning is happening, teaching them that whatever they are doing here, that has to be replicated at home. So such practices are in place to really make them aware of, to work with hand, heart, and this head. So working, it's going on all together with the systematic and synergic framework. Kushbu, please, next slide, please. So with the systematic and synergetic framework, we have worked on the, we have worked on the ACCT Act part, that is Aware, Connect, Commit, and Transform, which essentially is building awareness and knowledge of learners, enabling them to make real life connect, followed by developing values, attitudes, then empowering them with necessary skill sets and competencies, which is really making them that they are committed towards the planet and they are committed to transform their world with the positive action. And for making them, what are the positive action? We have worked upon the curriculum part. We have taken up the multi-facet curriculum that is whole integrated with SDG curriculum as well through our assemblies. The whole linkages has been made within various subjects, social science, geography, maths. Everything is so very integrated that children don't take it that SDG, they are studying it separately, but it has been integrated within their main subjects. So apart from that, changes in pedagogy, that means inquiry-driven approach. We have taken experiential learning through visit of various gardens, seeing that that making of nest, bird nest, and other activities are being initiated. And apart from that, making of manure. So children, they do that thing. And along with that, design thinking approach has been taken up, and we were fortunate to one project, Littlest campaign, wherein with design thinking approach only, we have children only ideated the project, that what is the problem going on. They only empathize the problem. Then they only have made the prototype, that is 3 kind of dustbins. That was being done for the primary wing students. They only initiated that project. So, and with the STEAM integration and all over, I would say the whole school approach is like that. Each day something new is being set by the students with the help of their facilitators. And apart from that, annual planner has been revamped every year, seeing that what all new things they can be, we want our children to be equipped with. So action projects have been initiated, class activities, the class assemblies. So whole project-based learning that's going on. With this systematic and synergetic framework, then let me just take you all to the practices, what all we have taken up for the school building and for the awareness and value inculcation of our students. In situ practices like annual exhibition. We were fortunate to host this exhibition in collaboration with United Nations Information Center for India and Bhutan at UN Center itself and at IIC building. So this was all on SDGs, and then celebration of international days, class-wise assemblies, and which you could see that various competitions are being organized, co-curricular activities, which are really helping the students to think critically and building awareness and in them, and inculcating all those value skills through experiential learning, going to various forums, just see if children, they are participating Global Tigers Day that was being held at this India Gate by a renowned organization. And we were fortunate to visit there. Along with that, children, they are being given the effect of MU. Even primary wing students, they participate in MU and other things to really make their lesson plans interactive, to really come up with the expected outcomes. See, they only have researched the projects, and those things we have made it possible that in their subject enrichment activities, their marks are being included so that they get a tempo that they need to do more. And we have just given an incentive for that. And then various Eco Club campaigns, awareness campaigns have been initiated. Students under Eco Club conducts and participate in various awareness campaigns, rallies, tree plantation drives. Next slide, please. Workshops and hands-on activities on regular basis, which we could see that students are visiting this early to mitigate air pollution in Delhi. That was done through United Nations Information Center. Various projects have been organized, and here you could see the children, they are doing say no to single-use plastic, then tree plantation drive. And the above picture, it's awareness campaign on menstrual cycle. This was being done in collaboration with Sachi Saheli. Apart from that, the students have adopted Yamuna Khada Village, wherein sanitation drive is being carried on. So it is, they have not done only in the school, but apart from that, they're going outreach. The community outreach program have been initiated. Along with the students, conduct online training, workshops, webinars for students and teachers on quality education and sustainable development concerns. So friends, then these, since I told that it's a practice, the students, they have really come up with all those practices within the school system. So this is a special audit every year students, they conduct within the school about, this is land audit, water audit, energy audit, then e-waste audit. All these things the students, they conduct, and ultimately they are being empowered. They are the energy eco audit squads and sanitation squads. They take care of the whole school. And during pandemic also, they have done some work at their home itself. To really ignite them, we have really come up with various proposals for them by giving them incentives of that you are the eco ambassador. And we were fortunate to be recognized at various forums also for that. And apart from that, if I say about school practices, these are the eco committee, which I've already told, which they are monitoring and evaluating action projects. And ultimately the school practices backbone for the desired outcomes. We know that. So these are the various initiatives that have been taken up in collaboration with various organizations. Speak for Sustainability, that was a virtual conference, then Global Summit on SDGs, then MUN, the Summit on Climate Change, major global threat. And apart from that, various, every year we conduct ASN Yamuna Wealth Inter-School Cultural Literary Fest. That's an annual flagship program on pertinent social, global, and environmental issues that really engages students and sensitizes them from national, international schools. Children, they do participate through multidimensional activities. And apart from this, these action research projects on waste management, water, energy, then waste, litter, biodiversity, nature, climate, good health and well-being, and global citizenship are being taken. And apart from that, children, they have taken a various drive, plastic waste collection drives they have initiated, which you could see that this Littlest campaign collection of MLPs from classrooms. That means children only, they started that, and a proper, it was shown to them about what is paper cycle. Then after that, they understood that how paper is made. These primary students, then they understood that we should not waste the paper. So it was a phenomenal based part. We have taken approach, we have taken in that to explain the students about how to manage waste and why paper is very important and how to really get rid of multi-layered plastic. And we connected with Safai Bank organization for giving all those MLPs. And similarly for other ventures also, students, they did understand about how to make organic manure through compost pit. So it was, it's a whole school approach we have taken right from class 1 itself. And even nursery wing students, they do know, I'm very happy to share that when the parents, they come up and tell me that, ma'am, my child is not letting me open water when I'm shaving. So that's the best part. At least children, they are really telling their parents to be bothered about the planet, and they are just telling them to save water and be more empathetic towards the nature. And apart from that, we have various collaborations done. The school has collaborated with various national and international organizations to provide an interactive and dynamic platform, providing experiential learning to its learners. Collaboration we have done with United Nations Information Center for promoting SDGs through multidimensional activities, through Global Summit, through MUNs. And I'm happy to share that United Nations Information Center declared our school as the first SDG lab of India, first and the only school lab of India. And since its launch in 2015, we are working rigorously on that. And apart from that, we are the lead eco club under Ministry of Environment and Forest. And we organized various projects, and we are continuing those projects, and even mentoring of government schools. That is a part of our project. And apart from that, we have joined hand with Millennium India Education Foundation, wherein a project was taken up preserving our biosphere. That project we initiated in 40 other schools, and understanding science then and now in collaboration with this Millennium India Foundation and NCSTC Division, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. And ASNITES bagged third prize amongst the 50 participating schools from Delhi and NCR. And we initiated those 40 schools. I initiated those 40 schools to work upon for that project. And school has bagged Green Leaf Award consecutively for 3 years. And we were the 10th in All India ranking by Center for Science and Environment. And apart from that, International Eco School Program for primary students is being run under FEE and CE through project-based learning on waste, water, energy, and biodiversity. And the school has been awarded with prestigious Green Flag Award 2021 and handprints for its exemplary work. And participation in the EcoWOM program in partnership with CE, where school was adjudged as one of the best 10 entries at national level. We mentored 2 of the government schools under TERI Climate Exchange Program. And we have collaborated with Tiger Trust, WWF, and Century Asia for various talks. And we were awarded by WWF for integrating environmental education within the curriculum. And apart from that, research projects covering 14 modules on environment conservation was being done in collaboration with Microsoft, that is Sustainable Living, Create to Inspire program. So we are fortunate to be associated with Microsoft as well, and participating in campaigns and training for students and teachers on climate change in collaboration with Climate Reality Project. This was also initiated by us, and I'm happy to just intimate you that all my teachers are, they have done the training of Climate Reality Project. And we have hosted exhibitions, Seeds of Hope, in collaboration with Bharat Sukha Geke and Earth Charter Initiative. And we are going on, and we are looking forward to each day that we really need to give back to our planet more things, whatever we are giving today. I request, so that after the collaboration, so I would say that we owe our future generation a better planet. And respect towards nature is in India's culture. So why not stand together? Let's all come together and save the world for a better tomorrow. Thank you so much once again, ICSI and CE, for giving me the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for taking all of us to the part of your school journey through your talk. And it's actually indeed very inspiring. We get to know about the whole school approach, process, and also how all the stakeholders are very important of this journey. Thank you so much for the coming. Yeah, now I would like to invite Dr. Prasanna Ghosh to share his experience about the school. Yeah, Prasanna sir, over to you.
Okay. जय हिंद। मैं प्रयागराज एंग्लो बंगाली इंटर कॉलेज से हूँ, और मेरा कॉलेज 1875 का इलाहाबाद का सबसे पुराना थर्ड ओल्डेस्ट कॉलेज ऑफ दिस कंट्री एंड सिचुएटेड इन द हार्ट ऑफ द सिटी, बिल्कुल सिविल लाइन में स्थित है। और कक्षा 1 से लेकर 12 तक की क्लासेस इसमें चलते हैं। मैं बेसिकली क्लास 6 to 12 को पढ़ाता हूँ। मैं बताना चाहूँगा कि मेरा कॉलेज लगभग 1200 स्टूडेंट्स को बेयर करता है। क्या आवाज़ मेरी आ रही है आपको?
जी सर, जी सर।
जी, स्क्रीन शेयर हो रही है आपको?
यस सर।
स्क्रीन शेयर हो गई?
हाँ, हो गई।
जी
आप उसको प्रेजेंटेशन मोड में रखो सर। हाँ
जी, जैसा कि आप देख रहे हैं अपनी स्क्रीन पर, our positive approach with Center for Environment Education toward the sustainable management, एंग्लो बंगाली इंटर कॉलेज प्रयागराज, कमला नेहरू सिविल लाइन प्रयागराज, ये 3rd ओल्डेस्ट कॉलेज ऑफ द कंट्री है। मैं यहाँ पर साइंस और बायोलॉजी पढ़ाता हूँ एज ए साइंस टीचर, क्लास 6 to 12। मेरे कॉलेज में स्टूडेंट की स्ट्रेंथ जो है वो 1200 है। अब एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर एक्टिविटीज के लिए हमारे कॉलेज में जो मुझे दायित्व दिया गया है, जो एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर एक्टिविटी है साइंस टीचिंग के अलावा, वो दायित्व मेरा है स्काउटिंग, एनवायरमेंटल क्लब, साइंस क्लब, बायोडाइवर्सिटी क्लब, हेरिटेज क्लब, लिटरेचर क्लब, वाटर कंजर्वेशन, नो पॉलिथीन कैंपेन, क्लीन गंगा कैंपेन एक्सेट्रा। इन सब क्लब की एक्टिविटी को संचालित करने के लिए मेरा कॉलेज कई संस्थाओं से, नेशनल और इंटरनेशनल बॉडीज से जुड़ा हुआ है, जैसे कि सेंटर फॉर एनवायरमेंट एजुकेशन लखनऊ, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज, नेशनल अकेडमी ऑफ साइंस इंडिया, WWF इंडिया, फॉरेस्ट रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट इंडिया देहरादून, इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ साइंस, इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ अप्लाइड साइंसेज एक्सेट्रा। इसके अलावा इंटैक, इंडियन नेशनल ट्रस्ट ऑफ आर्ट, कल्चर एंड हेरिटेज, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कल्चर के अंतर्गत आता है, वसेरा और तमाम अन्य संस्थाओं से जुड़ा हुआ है, ताकि कॉलेज में एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर एक्टिविटीज को चलाया जा सके एज ए प्रोजेक्ट मोड में। इन सब एक्टिविटीज को इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए हाउ वी इम्प्लीमेंट, सबसे पहले मैंने अपने कॉलेज में अपने अन्य शिक्षकों की मदद से कुछ समूह बनाए, ग्रुप कंस्टिट्यूशन किया, जिसके लिए भूजल सेना, स्वच्छाग्रही, पर्यावरण मित्र, जल मित्र, ऊर्जा मित्र, प्लास्टिक के शत्रु, सिविल डिफेंस, आपदा प्रबंधन, कचरा प्रबंधन। मैं विशेष तौर पे बताना चाहूँगा कि मेरे कॉलेज में जो कचरा प्रबंधन है वो आर मंत्र पर आधारित है, और सबसे पहली बार मुझे सीई की तरफ से ही ये आर मंत्र बना, बाय फॉलोइंग द रिड्यूस, रिसाइकिल, रिपेयर, रिफिलिंग और रिम्बर्स। इस आर मंत्र के तहत मेरे कॉलेज में कचरा प्रबंधन जारी है, और 2011 से मैं सेंटर फॉर एनवायरमेंट एजुकेशन से जुड़ा हूँ, तब से ये सारी एक्टिविटीज मेरे कॉलेज में रन हो रही हैं इन एसोसिएशन विद ए नंबर ऑफ डिफरेंट नेशनल एंड इंटरनेशनल बॉडी। एक बात और मैं बताऊं कि हमारे कॉलेज के मैनेजमेंट ने एनवायरमेंटल साइंस को एक सब्जेक्ट के रूप में इंक्लूड किया है, और इसके लिए हम अपने कॉलेज के स्टूडेंट्स को प्रोजेक्ट के रूप में हाफ ईयरली और एनुअल एग्जामिनेशन में एक प्रोजेक्ट देते हैं, और ये कहते हैं कि इन प्रोजेक्ट को यदि आप पूरा करते हैं तो आपको अप टू 10 मार्क्स, यू विल गेट अप टू 10 मार्क्स आफ्टर द कंप्लीशन ऑफ दिस प्रोजेक्ट सक्सेसफुली। और ये प्रोजेक्ट्स होते कैसे हैं? वाटर कंजर्वेशन, एनवायरमेंटल कंजर्वेशन, कंजर्वेशन ऑफ नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज, एंटी पॉलिथीन एक्टिविटीज, सिविल डिफेंस और बहुत सारे अन्य एक्टिविटीज होती हैं। इसके अलावा आप जानते हैं कि प्रयागराज वेल नोन फॉर द कुंभ मेला। आवाज आ रही है आप लोगों को?
जी सर।
जी, प्रयागराज में कुंभ मेला दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा मेला लगता है, और इस बार 5 करोड़ लोगों ने एक दिन एक साथ स्नान किया प्रयागराज में, और उस वक्त प्रयागराज was the most crowded city of the country, of the world। तो ऐसे कुंभ मेले में हम लोगों ने कॉलेज के छात्रों को एक प्रोजेक्ट दिया कि यदि वो घर में अपने वेस्ट जो कपड़े हैं जिनका वो यूज नहीं कर रहे हैं, उनका इस्तेमाल करके झोले बनाकर लाते हैं, तो उन्हें परीक्षा में कुछ मार्क्स दिए जाएंगे, अप टू 5 to 10 मार्क्स। और इस तरह से 2800, आप इमेजिन करें 2800 कपड़े के झोले बच्चों ने अपने घर के वेस्ट मटेरियल से बना कर दिया, कोई भी पॉलीपैक नहीं था। वो सारे झोले हम लोगों ने कलेक्ट किए और डीएम ऑफ द इलाहाबाद को सौंपा, और डीएम ऑफ द इलाहाबाद ने माघ मेले में उसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट किया, जिसमें कहीं भी एंग्लो बंगाली का नाम नहीं था, लेकिन हमारे कॉलेज के बच्चों ने निःशुल्क डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन लिए सहयोग दिया। इसके बदले में उन्हें मिला क्या? एक प्रमोशन, एक मोटिवेशन, और बदले में कुछ मार्क्स मिल गए। इस तरह से निःशुल्क कपड़े के झोले का वितरण हम लोग भी करते हैं। इसके अलावा विरासत संरक्षण, जो जैसे कि सी का जो कार्यक्रम है हेरिटेज कंजर्वेशन, उसमें भी हम लोगों ने पार्टिसिपेट किया। उसके लिए इंडियन नेशनल ट्रस्ट ऑफ आर्ट, हेरिटेज एंड कल्चर, इसके लिए विरासत संरक्षण रैली, जन जागरूकता अभियान, निबंध कला, वाद विवाद, भाषण प्रतियोगिता का आयोजन, विज्ञान प्रदर्शनी, शैक्षणिक यात्रा, नाटक मंचन। अब देखिए, इसमें शैक्षणिक यात्रा की बात मैं बताऊं कि उत्तर प्रदेश का एकमात्र ऐसा कॉलेज है जो अब तक सबसे अधिक एजुकेशनल ट्रिप कर चुका है इन एसोसिएशन विद सी, नासी इंडिया, FRI देहरादून, ए नंबर ऑफ डिफरेंट बॉडीज। अहमदाबाद, हैदराबाद, ऋषिकेश, देहरादून, मसूरी, मैसूर, कलकत्ता, पांडिचेरी, गोवा, इन सब की यात्रा हम लोग अपने छात्रों के साथ कर चुके हैं। और यहाँ पर बायोडाइवर्सिटी का अध्ययन, क्लाइमेट चेंज की स्टडी, नेचर डाइवर्सिटी, फूड डाइवर्सिटी, इन सब चीज़ों के हम लोग ने अध्ययन किया है और उसके बकायदा प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट तैयार की है। इन सब एक्टिविटीज जब कुछ छात्र विजिट करके आते हैं तो उन्होंने क्या देखा, क्या सुना, क्या फील किया, इन सबको नाटक के रूप में हम लोग यहाँ दिखाते हैं अपने कॉलेज में, ताकि वो छात्र जो नहीं जा पाए हैं किसी कारण से, उन्हें भी ये पता लगे कि इलाहाबाद शहर के बाहर कितनी चीजें हैं उनके जानने के लिए, और लाइफ में कभी अगर मौका लगे तो वो अवश्य जा सकते हैं।
सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट प्रसन्ना सर, सर हम थोड़ा लेट रन कर रहे हैं, तो अगर आप जल्दी ब्रीफली
बिल्कुल 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 मैम। आप फोटोग्राफ देख रहे हैं कि भूजल सेना का संगठन किया, और हमारे यहाँ जो पॉलिथीन बैन है, अगर फिर भी पॉलिथीन कुछ उड़ के बाहर से चली आती है तो उनको हम धो करके उनसे यूजफुल थिंग बना लेते हैं। इसके साथ साथ पॉलिथीन को रोकने के लिए हमने कुछ झोले बनवा रखे हैं जो बच्चों को डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करते हैं, और फिर भी अगर कोई छात्र या टीचर्स झोले नहीं लाता है, पॉलीपैक लाता है, तो उसको एज ए पेनाल्टी 10 रुपये लेकर के 2 झोले फिर सौंप देते हैं। इस तरह से हम लोग एक्टिविटीज करते हैं और बच्चों को मोटिवेट करते हैं। इसका फल क्या मिला हमें? परिचित होने वाली परिवर्तन, क्या परिवर्तन हुआ? हरियाली बढ़ गई है, छात्रों में पॉलिथीन के यूज करने की आदत कम हुई है, कपड़े के झोले का उपयोग बढ़ा है, अनुपयोगी वस्तुओं से उपयोगी वस्तुओं का निर्माण की भावना बढ़ी है, और बाल्टी और मग के इस्तेमाल करके गाड़ी धोना उन्हें प्रारंभ किया। देखिए, बहुत बढ़िया सा एग्जाम्पल है। ये जमीन है हमारे प्राइमरी सेक्शन की बिल्डिंग के सामने, बिल्कुल ऊसर जमीन थी, जिसको साफ करके सारे पॉलिथीन कंकड़ बिन लिए गए। बिनने के बाद हमने प्लांटेशन कर दिया घास का, और उसका बदला हुआ रूप ये बच्चों के थ्रू आप देख सकते हैं। बिल्कुल चेंज, ये जो चेंज है ये बच्चों में जो मोटिवेशन दिया सेंटर फॉर एनवायरमेंटल एजुकेशन से जुड़ने के बाद, आप देख सकते हैं पिछली जमीन क्या थी और अब कितनी हरियाली बन चुकी है। इसके अलावा बायोडाइवर्सिटी आप देख रहे हैं, जितेंद्र पटेल जी ट्रेनिंग दे रहे हैं मेरे बच्चों को, ये मैं स्काउट में सिखा दे रहा हूँ। डॉल्फिन की यात्रा, बायोडाइवर्सिटी, पिरामिड, गंगा यात्रा, तमाम एक्टिविटीज हम करते रहते हैं अपने छात्रों के साथ। और लॉकडाउन के दौरान भी ये देखिए, आपदा प्रबंधन, जिसमें बच्चों को जल में डूबते हुए व्यक्ति को कैसे बचाया जा सकता है, बर्ड हाउस बना रखा है, VTR नेपाल की यात्रा। एक चीज मैं बताना चाहूंगा कि NDRF के साथ हमारे बच्चों ने एक बड़ी अनूठी कला सीखी, जिसकी ट्रेनिंग हम लोगों को गोवा के दौरान भी दी गई थी, डिस्कवरी ऑफ गोवा में, कि यदि आपका वजन 65 किलो का है तो आप ऐसे 2 लीटर के 6 बॉटल को अपने पेट में बांधकर खुद भी डूबने से बच सकते हैं और दूसरों को बचा सकते हैं। ये NDRF की ट्रेनिंग बताया गया। यानी प्लास्टिक के बॉटल्स का इतना बढ़िया यूज अभी तक हमने कहीं नहीं देखा था। ये पहली बार हम लोग को डिस्कवरी ऑफ गोवा जब CE की तरफ से ट्रिप पर गया था तो भी बताया गया था, और NDRF की ट्रेनिंग के दौरान भी बताया गया। एक नई चीज है हमारे कॉलेज में जो आर्ट कल्चर के तहत करी जाती है, माइक्रो क्लब। ये बच्चों ने पेंसिल की नोक को खुरच कर कितनी सुंदर आकृति उकेर रखी है। ये देखिए, घड़ी और चौक को खुरच कर बहुत सुंदर आकृति बना रखी है। ये भी हमारे हेरिटेज क्लब या आर्ट एंड कल्चर क्लब का एक हिस्सा है। इसके अलावा हम बहुत से महान विभूतियों से बच्चों को इंट्रोड्यूस कराते हैं। आप देख रहे हैं डॉक्टर राजेंद्र जी, वाटरमैन ऑफ इंडिया, नायक साहब जो हमारे राज्यपाल रह चुके हैं, और ये आपने सुना होगा माउंटेन मैन ऑफ इंडिया, जिन्होंने पूरे पहाड़ को 22 साल में अकेले काट दिया था। माउंटेन मैन ऑफ इंडिया दशरथ मांझी के बेटे भगीरथ मांझी, जिनसे मुलाकात करने पर हमारे बच्चे काफी तक मोटिवेट होते हैं कि हम भी अपने लाइफ में बहुत कुछ ऐसा कर सकते हैं जो असंभव सा दिखता है। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for sharing this useful information, including school and colleges handprint actions with all of us. We get to know that how we can overcome such challenges and contribute towards a positive handprint action. Yeah, environmental study is as a subject in school or colleges can make coming generation more sensitized and encourage them to find innovative solution and methods for the way forward. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to invite Ms. Preeti Rawat to take it forward this session. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Khushbu. So Lagna, do we have time for question answer?
I do not think so, because in
We
the
have to
main
go to the
panelist-
main
yes,
panel session.
yes.
So
what-
yeah,
So what we can do is we can leave these questions with our speakers, with our audience and
Yeah.
the ideas and their strategies and what are the challenges they are facing. You guys, everyone can just type it out and we will take it forward from there, I guess.
Yeah. So, you can just show Aishwarya all the 4 questions,
Yeah,
which
so-
many of things
Sure.
has been covered by the our
So
panel.
let me just take them through. The first question was that what are your experience of implementing sustainable education in your schools? We would like to hear your strategies, the opportunities you have got, and the challenges you have faced while doing that. The second question we were looking ahead is what are your suggestions on NEP 2020 policy rollout to bring the focus on strengthening the sustainable education. The third question is what could be the different strategies to use ESD 2030 and ecosystem restoration to develop a school sustainable plan and train our teachers, because capacity building of the educators is a very important part in any thing. And the last but not the least question is, in what ways do we rethink learning environment, which is on ground, that is physical, or you can say virtual or through online mediums, to inspire the learners to act on the sustainability? So I would request all the audience to think about these questions and write to us on the question answer.
Sorry to interrupt, Sulagna. Session 2 is still waiting, and
Okay.
everybody is waiting for the session 2. Preeti, there are messages coming, so
Yeah.
please connect with the second session. Thank you so much
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
so
you very much.
on behalf of Mobius Foundation. Thank you very much.